Good morning, everyone. Thank you. Welcome back to another episode of OG Talk. This is Chase, and today we are going to talk. I wanted to start a new series about reflections because I want people to kind of reflect on their own journey at this time. I felt compelled to talk about this because we get lost sometimes in the present moment, right? And we got a lot going on, and we do forget to stay present in order to balance our brains. But I was reflecting back today on just how grateful I am to be in this position right now. A lot of us come from struggle. A lot of us come from, not nice areas. And to just be here right now at my age and doing stuff like this, I'm an introvert, right? I'm naturally kind of quiet guy. But I realized a little while ago, or whenever I started doing this, that I can't be quiet. I can't just not try to change things. It's just who I am as a human being. With that said, when we look back on where we've come from, have you ever really thought back of all the obstacles that you've overcome? Like, really think about it. I don't know what you're going through in life right now. I know for me, there's a lot of things in the balance. Nothing feels stable anymore. If it ever did for an empath like myself, I think when you're an empath or, an introverted type person, you never really feel. You only have glimpses of stability. It feels there's always another thing looming, so you may have a little bit of peace, but for the most part your life is all about growing, and in that growth comes growing pains and learning the next steps and what to do and all of that stuff. But I was reflecting, man, like I used to live in a terrible part of Newark, New Jersey, right? And this is going to be a little story time. Most of these reflections that I do are going to be like story time things, right? But I remember this apartment that I lived in. I paid, it was a 1-bedroom apartment, right? And it was on Muhammad Ali Avenue. Oh my God. Yeah. Any streets named after, famous black people is usually a lot of crime and stuff. But I remember this day, right? My girlfriend at the time would have to catch the bus. She didn't drive. So she would walk down maybe this long block, and at the corner was the bus stop, right? One of her buses she would have to take to work, go downtown. And I remember there was this like, I don't want to say it was a trap house. None of these houses, this block don't even really exist anymore. They've made like an Applebee's and all this stuff, right? So I remember my girlfriend came home from work and she had like this look in her face, and I'm like, what's wrong? And she was like, yo, them dudes up the block, they just won't stop. And I'm just like, what's going on? So apparently it's just like drug dealer, trap house that used to be on the corner. She would go to work, and these dudes would mess with her. So this day, I don't know what got in me, because I knew what kind of house it was, right? I knew, I thought that, I don't know, like, I didn't really bother a lot of people when I lived in places, but I usually had a level of respect for the dudes that lived around there, the hood dudes. I never really had issues with them. I was never a threat. I'm not a hood dude, But Anyway, so at this point, I have to do something about this, because apparently I was like, well, what are you talking about? And she was like, well, I go to work, and there's one dude and his brother, they be in the window and they just be saying stuff, and it just gets on my nerves. So I have to do something now. So in my infinite wisdom this day, it was something about the look she had in her eye. And it was something about, at that time, just living in the hood and just being around disrespectful dudes who, they may be a part of different organizations or whatever. So they're tough guys, right? So this day, I think I had just had enough. And just with my whole living situation, I hated living in the hood, y'all. I hated it. It's crowded. The supermarkets, you buy meat, it's bright red. It ain't supposed to look like that. It's clearly spray painted. Because when you get home and, you wash it or something and the meat is brown. Like, the hood supermarkets, you know what I'm talking about. The food ain't right. The meat ain't right. I hated being in that area. And this day, man, I know God was with me, because I was by myself. Me and her just lived there alone. But like I said, I never really had issues. I had peoples around. I was running around during that time in my younger years. So it wasn't really like, if something happened. And I just lived a little bit more reckless then. So I walk down the street to these guys' house by myself. And probably wasn't the smartest move, but thankfully nobody came outside. I could hear people in the house. I'm banging the door. And I'm yelling and come outside. Thankfully nobody came outside. But it made me think about one thing. What happened if they would have come outside? Would I have been shot? Would a bunch of the people in there come outside and beat me to death in the middle of the street? I don't know. But the reflective part is that I don't live like that no more. I don't live like that in my mentality. And I don't live like that as far as I try not to let my anger or let a situation get bigger than me to put myself in a situation where I'm reacting out of a situation irrationally. In reflections, I try to look back and think, well, I've grown. And my situation has grown. I moved away from there a long time ago. I live in a much better area now, whatever. But those are things I don't have to engage in anymore. What have you overcome in your life? What can you reflect back on maybe 15 years ago, how you were? Can you see the progress that you've made internally? Because I can certainly see it in my life. Actually doing something like this, I would have never been talking on camera. What? Outside of, doing music or something like that, you don't talk on camera. You don't express yourself. You don't, you got to be bravado. You can't talk about things that I talk about, spirituality and other dimensions and all those type of things. No. Doesn't really work like that. Sometimes you got to reflect on where you've been, man, because you've come a long way and you still got a long way to go, and I do too. And we're going to walk on this journey together. But just take a look at the goodness in your life. Because we all have a lot of bad going on. But let's try to look at the good of it sometimes. Reflect on your own life. I think I'm going to do a series where I just bring you guys into my life a little bit. And some of the squabbles I've had, and, ducking bullets and all kind of stuff that has happened in my life. But thankfully, I'm still here. I love you all. Peace.